Hey now,
Hey,
you're tuned into Briterion Bollection.
yes. So we're continuing the LGBT month theme. Unfortunately, we started it really late in June, just
Yeah,
because of scheduling conflicts, as it was mentioned in our previous episode.
yeah.
So we're we're continuing it, and we're going to talk about another movie that we both really like.
Which is,
I Love You, Phillip Morris,
yep,
starring Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor.
yep. I love you, Felipe Morris.
That sounds really, really odd. Which actually, if you actually are watching this video, which you should be if you become a Patreon member, don't mind me. I'm still putting on all my skincare so that I don't look like a 50-year-old. At least not yet.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
if you're not self-conscious of it, I don't think anyone else will mind.
yeah, like I said, my schedule is all over the place, so I'm just multitasking.
Yeah, that's good. So Philip Morris, great movie, right?
Yeah, it's a great movie, definitely.
Um, and so this movie came out in 2009, but it was like kind of a delayed release. Like it didn't get a wide release in the US. Um, I think people were like distributors were scared of the gay content and like how strong it was in the film. It was like really a big theme in the whole film, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, that is pretty much the main theme
Right.
of the movie, really. And you'll see as we talk about it. If you have not watched it yet and you don't mind all the spoilers, go ahead and keep listening, or first watch the movie and then come back and listen to this episode.
Yeah.
Your choice.
Yeah, if you're in the US, it's on Amazon right now. So you can watch it on Amazon.
Yes. Or whichever other country you are at, there should be other streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Or just rent it.
Yeah. And you know what date this came out in 09?
I actually don't know, believe it or not.
It officially came out 10/30/09.
So on your 25th birthday.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I know, it is hilarious. So I was like living the dream that year. Like, Philip Morris came out, even though I didn't watch it till later. Yankees just won the World Series, so that was the shit. Yeah, having a lot of fun that year. And that month too, and it was my birthday, so that was all good. And it was still the aughts, so that was cool. Um, so the film was adapted from the 2003 book "I Love You, Philip Morris," a true story of life, love, and prison breaks by Steve McVicker. Shall I do the Wikipedia description?
Absolutely.
It's kind of long, so bear with us. Before I go any further, I'm your host, Kevin.
Oh, and I'm Aileen, Kevin's wife.
So it's yeah, we did like delayed credits there.
Yeah, don't mind us. I'm sure that we're always going to be all over the place, but
Right.
we will get to it eventually.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of being all over the place, there is a correction that I would like to make about our episode on Marie Antoinette, which we did a while back. And the correction on that is that we said that because we mentioned the band Phoenix, because they are briefly featured in the movie.
Yes.
Yes, so no, you don't know that, of course, but if you know about the band,
if you know,
should.
You know.
Yes, exactly, exactly. If
literally,
you know. Okay, so we were talking about them, and we mentioned that back in 06 they had released their third album. We mistakenly said it was alphabetical. It was not alphabetical because alphabetical was actually their second album. Their third album was It's Never Been Like That. And I personally should have known that because that's a line from a song that's in that same album, and it's called Long Distance Call.
Right.
Yes.
One of their best songs, honestly.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So just want to make that correction.
Yeah. Thanks for correcting that.
Yeah. Well, I honestly, I had the feeling that something didn't seem right about that information, so I actually had to go back and look. And yes, my suspicions were right.
Well, for some reason, I also mixed the order up for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like I thought Alphabetical was their third album.
Yeah.
Because it just seemed more modern sounding to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I can see what.
Because to me, I think Alphabetical is they're probably their worst album in a way.
When you look back at it, yeah, not that any of their albums are bad.
Not if any of their shit is bad. But it's the one I listen to the least, honestly.
Yeah, I would say the same.
Yeah. So it's like the first album was awesome, and then the second one wasn't that great, but then they picked it back up with the third one.
Yeah, it's true. But actually, I was just recently listening, because even though it's already been out for a couple of years, I was listening to their most recent album, which is called Alpha Zulu. And honestly, I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty good. I mean, they're pretty consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked the album with J-Boy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great album. Fior de Latte. I love that song.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a great song, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wikipedia?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
This one is kind of long. It's 2 paragraphs.
Okay, so let's try to go through it.
Yeah. So Stephen J. Russell is on his deathbed, recalling the events of his life that led him to this point. He spent his early adult years in Virginia Beach as a police officer. He plays the organ at church, has unenthusiastic sex with his wife Debbie, and spends his off hours searching for his biological mother, who had placed him for adoption as a child. Stephen locates his biological mother, but she rejects him. He then quits the police force and moves to Texas and works for Cisco, the family business. After a car crash on the way from a homosexual tryst, Stephen leaves his family and life behind, though he keeps in touch with his wife and young daughter and explores the world as his true self, a gay man. He moves to Miami, where he finds a boyfriend, Jimmy, and they adopt a luxurious lifestyle. To keep themselves in the style to which they have become accustomed, Stephen becomes a con man. He is pursued by the police, and after jumping off a parking garage, is sent to prison, where he falls in love with inmate Phillip Morris.
Yes, and that's the reason.
Right. So the movie fades up, and we see clouds in the sky, and we see the drawn title cards, and we cut to Stephen Russell on his deathbed, and Stephen Russell played by Jim Carrey, right?
Yes.
He flashes back to when he was a kid, and they're looking at clouds. You know, did you ever do that as a kid? Sit on the grass and look at the clouds?
Yeah, there were times where I sat and watched the clouds.
Yeah, and see the formations. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's there with his friends looking at the clouds, and his family tells him when he's 10 years old, around that time, that he's adopted. And you can see because they all have glasses except for him.
What a stereotype. That doesn't mean that every family member will wear glasses. But
I think they were trying to show it like at a glance. Like, how can we show easily that he's clearly not related to them? I think his whole adoption thing just really fucked him up for life.
Well, yeah, and I can imagine, especially the way that they made the whole thing seem really.
Right. I guess.
I think any time there's some sort of damage going on to some degree, but it seems like that really did traumatize him.
Right. So he's flatlining on the hospital bed, and doctors are rushing in to save him. And we see him playing piano and singing in the church choir. We cut back to that, and I feel like oftentimes it is a lot of religious types that you see who end up like this in a way. Like you always hear, like the BTK killer guy. He was a pastor or whatever. Like you always see
a lot of times if it's a real extreme. Not to say that this happens to a lot of religious people. I just feel that if they're really hardcore about it, there is a possibility that they will end up that way. If you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So at this time, he's a cop, and people like him. People seem to really like him. and he takes some files from work. We see him sneak some files out. And so we see his daughter, he tells his daughter some bedtime stories, and he puts her to bed, and we see him praying with his wife, Leslie Mann,
Yes.
who you love, right?
I don't love her per se. I mean, I don't have anything against her. Even though she is Judd Apatow's wife, and right now I don't know how to feel about him. That's all I have to say.
Right. But you love one movie she did in particular, right?
Which was?
Sandler?
See, that's all connected. Just look up Zio. That's all. And that's how I feel about a lot of these people right now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're praying together, and he just wants to get through with the praying. He's like, hurry up, finish the damn praying. But she keeps going on and on. It's kind of funny. And we cut to him banging her on the bed. He's on
But really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard, but like not sensual at the same time. Like
Yeah, exactly. It's really weird.
Yeah. And while he's doing her, he tells her that he found the file for his real parents. His real mom, anyways. And he stole that from work. And she's like, oh my God, that's great news. And he says that's the only reason that he really became a cop, was to find his real mom. That's kind of funny that he did all that just for that.
Well, some people are willing to go great lengths.
Right.
Just to find certain things out. So, yeah, I'm not
Right.
I'm not really surprised, honestly.
Yeah. Would you do something like that?
I probably wouldn't, because you know how I feel about cops, so right. I would not take it to that degree.
Right. So one day he goes to his real mom's house out of the blue, and they're having a birthday party, and he can see that from the screen door, and this old lady comes to the door, and it's actually the mom from Sideways, too. She played Paul Giamatti's mom, the actress. Mm-hmm. And she's like, hello, officer, is there anything wrong? And he asks her, like, if she gave up a child for adoption, and she denies it. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she just walks away from him, and they're like, happy birthday. Yeah. And he's like, why? He's like, I was the middle child.
Yeah, that's what's even more confusing, that she would get rid of the middle kid.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I think I saw some shit like that on some true crime thing I've seen before, where they also adopted their middle child. Like, there was a situation where there was a couple and they had a kid, and then they had another kid, but they're like, oh, we're planning on getting a divorce, so let's just give this kid up for adoption. So they gave that kid up for adoption, but then they didn't get divorced, and so they had a third kid, and they just kept the third kid. So it was a similar situation.
That's just horrible, though. Why would you even do that?
Yeah, but luckily, I guess the girl who was adopted, like, she didn't turn out to like Steven Russell. She ended up being normal, and she had a happy life. She was kind of like, oh, I'm kind of glad I was adopted, because I couldn't see myself with that other family at this point. That's what she was.
Well, it just depends on the situation. Yeah. Because
how you're wired.
Yeah, and also you don't know how Steven Russell's his adoptive parents, really treated him like. So, yeah, it just depends on the circumstances. But there are people who have been adopted, and they say that their adoptive parents were really good to them. So it's not like they felt like it really affected them.
Yeah. I mean,
so it depends, really.
I mean, Aaron Judge is adopted, so you see how great he is.
Yeah, speaking of multitasking earlier, we're also currently watching a Yankees game. So they're playing the Mets, and it's pretty exciting so far.
Yeah, 5-3 Yankees. Hopefully they win the shit.
Coming from a Yankees fan.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny because they're like, happy birthday to you. He's like, he like bangs the door. Yeah. He breaks it. He breaks the screen.
Yeah, he breaks the screen.
He's like, oh, he's like, sorry. He taps it down.
He shouldn't feel sorry about that.
Right.
Yeah, his birth mom gave him for adoption. So.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to take this map. Like, this is false. This isn't true. No one's welcome here. Like, he takes the map.
Yeah, so he takes a doormat.
Yeah. And he stops being a doormat, too.
Well, yeah, I guess.
him and Leslie Mann, his wife, Debbie, moved to Texas from Georgia. That's where they were living
originally.
And he works for Cisco. I thought it was Cisco Systems, the tech company, but it's not. It's Cisco Produce. So that's
well, they had to use another kind of material. They're not going to use real brands here.
So we see this is like a little montage where it's like their life is improving, even though he didn't get a good warm reception from his real mom. He's at they're having a housewarming party, him and Leslie Mann, Debbie, and they're meeting the neighbors, and he's explaining his job, like, oh, I like my job, it's a lot better than being a cop. And the hours don't kill me either, and he's saying that. And then they start making out, Debbie and him and the neighbor, like for a long time. The neighbors are just kind of looking like weirded out at them. And then we cut to him in the night banging. He's banging something. So we assume
something or someone.
He's banging someone. And
you just
we assume it's his wife. He's doing doggy style.
Thank you for the description, Kevin. Okay, that's too much.
I'm just explaining the movie. So he's banging someone. We assume it's his wife, and then we see it's this bearded guy, and he's like, I'm not even gonna say what he says actually.
No, don't.
You have to watch it. And then freeze frame. So freeze frame on him behind the guy, and the bearded guy face down, and he says, "Oh," on the voiceover, Jim Carrey's says, "Oh, did I forget to mention I was gay?" That's what he says. Flashback to the kids looking at clouds, and all the other kids are saying, "Oh, I see a boat," and the other kid says, "Oh, I see a football," and the other kid and Steven as a kid says, "I see a wiener," and they're like, "Wiener?" He's like, "Yeah, like a man's wiener," and we see the cloud, and it kind of has that shape, and then the other kid's like, "I don't see no wiener." They're like thinking that.
Yeah, but for the viewer, it definitely looks phallic. If you see what we're trying to say.
Yeah. So he says he's been living a lie, but things always come to the light. And he's listening to Dance Hall Days in his car. He's like living the dream, I guess, driving back from his rendezvous with that guy. And he has a car just slam into him.
Yeah, just... Did he get T-boned or something?
Pretty much, but he ended up surviving it. But at that point, he basically considers it an epiphany.
Yeah, for sure.
So the ambulance carries away, and he says the F word a lot. I'm the F word. He says that a lot. And I'm not talking Gordon Ramsay. I'm talking about the other F word. He's saying that, and then the ambulance is like, the EMT guys are trying not to talk, sir. And he's like, "Fuck you." But he's like all bloody and it's like wet and stuff like that, and he just keeps saying he's gay. He's like, "I'm gay, I'm gay," and he tells
Debbie. Yeah, he tells Debbie.
She's in the hospital with him, and he's like, "I'm gay." He just screams.
Yeah, like he just screams. He's like, "I'm gay."
Yeah. And she's
like at that point, he was just no longer afraid to show who he was.
Yeah. So we cut to him walking down some Miami boulevard, right? And he's walking with Jimmy. Hey, Tom.
Tom, hi.
It's our cat, Tom Hanks again.
Yeah, he's at the front door, meowing or growling at another cat. Or
a possum. I've been seeing some possums.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of.
There was one just chilling out here the other day. I was cleaning their litter, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And I see him just like, it almost looked like a statue. He was just sitting there, this possum, big ass possum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which actually I said in another episode, which is in our Goofy movie episode,
right.
Be kind to possums. So yes, once again, be kind to possums.
Right. So, cut to him walking with Jimmy, played by Rodrigo Santoro, Brazilian actor. Mm-hmm. He's really good. And they're walking in Miami Beach. And he basically becomes the gay guy. They're the gay it guy.
Yeah. However you want to word it.
He finds this other revelation. He's like, I didn't realize this. And a lot of people don't talk about it. But being gay is really expensive. That's what he says. And
if you choose it to be, you
Right.
don't have to.
yeah, I mean, I guess he feels like there's a certain type of lifestyle he has to uphold, at least for him. And
Yeah, well, I just feel that you shouldn't be too materialistic
Right.
either. Hey, Tommy.
he got the
Sorry,
zoomies.
he got the zoomies and he tends to scratch things he shouldn't be. So, yeah.
Right. So he even says he likes staying in random hotels, like local hotels, just because he heard they're nice. He'll just stay there, which is pretty dumb, right?
I agree. I just feel that, well, I don't mind staycations personally, but
you usually
just
stay
to
at home.
or you can stay at a local hotel, but you do that every now and then. But in this case, just for fun,
Yeah.
especially when you don't even have the money to stay at random hotels or motels or whatever you want to call it, just don't.
Right.
If you don't have, seriously, if you struggle to make ends meet and you do this kind of thing, don't do it.
Right. So because he's spending all this money, like it's going out of style, he starts doing cons to keep making money. He starts suing a lot of establishments and doing insurance fraud, credit card fraud, and passport fraud even. Which I don't know how he does that or why he does that. Like what? Passport fraud, like pretending to be someone else to try
that's
like
pretty
identity
much.
theft. Is it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and so we see him and he's buying something and the cashier's like, "Oh, can I see your ID?" And we see him flipping through like a million IDs.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And then he gives Jimmy as a gift. He gives him a gold Rolex, and Jimmy's like, "Oh my god, like you shouldn't have." And he's like, "Why not?" He's like, "You don't like it?" And he's like, "Oh." He's like, "I just feel like it's too much." He's saying, and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're right, dipshit." He's like, "I know gold's not your color. Here's the silver one." So he gives him that instead.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
He missed the point.
Yeah. So he gives him that at Christmas time, and he calls Debbie and his daughter, and he gives them wads of cash.
Yeah, but huge wads.
Yeah.
And that Debbie goes like, "What the hell, Steven?"
Yeah, because she opens her gift first, and it's like all this cash, and then we see they're laughing on the phone, and then we see his daughter's like, "Oh, thanks, Dad," and she has like even more cash.
Yeah, but which looks like it definitely has to be at least 5 figures, if not 6.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're just laughing like, like they have all this money. But I guess Jimmy doesn't realize how he gets his money, how he gets most of his money. I don't think he realized that at the time. So one day, Steven goes into work, and his secretary says that he has visitors, and he can see it's some cops, and he knows what they want, so he tries escaping. He walks around, and he's in the car, so he tries to OD on pills to commit suicide in the car.
Yeah.
So he won't have to spend time in prison. So he does that, and he wakes up in the hospital, and Jimmy is there, and he's disappointed in him. And Debbie is talking to cops, and Jimmy and Steven sees them talking to the cops, and so he tries to escape the hospital. He runs out, and then it's funny because Debbie is talking with Jimmy, and she's like, "So is the gay thing and stealing something that goes hand in hand, or what?" Like she says that. She asks Jimmy that.
And as she asks Jimmy, Steven tries to escape the hospital, and Debbie points him out, tiptoeing down the hallway.
Yeah. So he's like, "Steven!"
And she blew his cover, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
So now the cops start chasing him.
Yeah, so he goes outside onto the roof, and he jumps and tries to jump into the dumpster, but he misses, and he's on the ground like.
Yeah. Oh, which reminds me of another movie that he was in.
Exactly.
Yeah, which if you haven't seen him fall off that airplane tunnel, the transporting tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What movie is that?
Dumb and Dumber.
Yep. And then the guy tries to stop him, but he runs out, and he's on
He's on the
tarmac.
asphalt. Yeah.
and then we see the Asian guy. He does that when he sees him.
But was he just part of the?
Yeah, he was part of the crew.
He was. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. He was part of the airport staff or the airline or something like that. Right? Yeah, he's part of that. Yeah, so he looks down the window and you can just see it on his face that it didn't look good. He goes, yeah. And of course you see Lloyd Christmas, which is his character's name. Yeah, well,
on the ground. Yeah, and Jim Carrey. Like, but he's on the tarmac and he's like, he's in pain. Yeah. So he finally goes to prison. And we see him in the yellow suit in prison, and he walks into the cell, and then we see Steven sitting there. So you're like, okay, who's this guy we just saw? Yeah. And it's another guy.
So and he's a new coming inmate.
Yeah, and Steven's like, I'll show you around. And it's a nice little trick because you think that's him when he's walking in.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I really thought it was him.
He has the same body type, the same haircut. He's probably like his stand-in for the movie. And he's like, let's give you some screen time with this. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I could see that.
So he takes him to the library, and he's like, well, you can get a book here, like, or you can suck the guy's dick. Like, everything is, or you can suck the guy's dick.
Yeah, he has to say something inappropriate.
Yeah. He's like, and then when he takes him back to the cell, and the guy willingly is like, so, do I need to suck your dick? And Steven's like, that'd be nice. And then the guy just goes on his knees. Hilarious. Yeah. So he calls Debbie, and he sees a fight break out in the lunch area while he's on the phone. And he sees this fight, and then he looks around, and he sees the only other white guy, basically, there. And it's Phillip Morris, played by
Ewan McGregor.
The great Ewan McGregor, right?
Yeah, well, he's had history both on and off screen, so.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to refer to any of that right now?
Well, just the fact that he left his wife for Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Right.
Which.
Can you blame him?
Well, no, but at the same time, the way he handled it was just not good.
Yeah. And his wife had 4 kids with him, or whatever, right?
Yeah, they had 4. Yeah, they had 4 kids.
It's a lot of damn kids before hooking up with your co-star. And then I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead initially was like, like they got together, but then they broke up because
well, she ended the relationship because she felt wrong about being a homewrecker. Or at least that's just how she explained it. She said, "I don't want to get in between you and your wife. I think you should think about it." But he ultimately did leave her for her.
And then they reignited the relationship, and now they have kids, right? 1 kid at least.
I knew they had at least 1. You know what? Let me look that up. I don't know if they've had more.
See, this is a cool hookup of Trainspotting and Scott Pilgrim. Those 2 worlds met there. So Ewan McGregor, I love Ewan McGregor. He's great. He's a great actor. Steven kind of has his eye on him at that point, and he basically meets him in the library because he sees Philip looking for random books, and Steven tells him he's an attorney, and he explains the situation of a guy who has AIDS in the infirmary, and Steven basically tells him what to do. He tells him to make some calls to call your local government guy, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he says he hasn't seen him in the yard. And Philip tells him, well, I don't go to the yard. You know what happens to blonde hair queers in the yard? And so that really sparks their relationship. And he wonders, Steven's like, what'd you do to get in here? He says, I rented a car for too long. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Prison for that? Shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you ever look at the prison system, they just take things way too far. Right. I actually heard of people getting thrown in jail for not paying citations.
Wow.
Yeah. It's that hard. Why do you need to be that hardcore about it? Yeah. I'm just saying, speaking of how I felt about cops earlier, that's just That's only the tip of the iceberg.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So pay your citations, people. Unless you want to go to prison, possibly. And so Steven feels like this is fate. Him and Philip meeting there. But then Philip tells him, oh, like, because he's like, oh, why'd I have to meet you now? I'm being transferred to another cell. And he says, like, oh, I've always had bad luck because I was born on Friday the 13th. That's what he tells him. And Steven's like, oh, I'm going to make it all work out. So we cut to, there's this black guy named Cleavon. He comes by and he gives Philip a note. And it's from Steven. Basically, that's how they...
Yeah, well, it looks like one of those little notes that kids pass around while they're in class.
Right, yeah.
He really made it
they
look
do
like
that in prison, basically.
Yeah.
So, and Steven says, oh, check out the toilet paper. And he, like, takes up the toilet paper and there's chocolate.
Yeah, there are little bits of chocolates that...
Yeah, they look like Hershey nuggets, basically.
Yeah.
Stacked in the thing. And Philip really likes that. And all these guys are, playing a part, passing out these notes. It's like Mousetrap, like the game Mousetrap, where you hit the stick and it'll light fire that cuts this rope. It's kind of like that. Or it kind of reminds me of Stolen Kisses, too, the Truffaut film.
Yeah.
And you see the mail go through, like, the pipes there. Go back and forth. Exactly. This Cleavon guy, he's a pretty good actor, actually. I feel like he should have been in more shit. I didn't see him in anything else. I don't know. I guess we didn't check his IMDb.
Yeah, you should. Well, even though Cleavon is not his real name.
Yeah, but the guy who plays him, he's a pretty good actor. And Philip asks him, did you get another note? And he says, I know, DHL, F word. Tells him that. And Philip is disappointed. Philip is lying in a cell and he hears the gate open and he looks up and Steven. And he's like, what? So Steven finagled a way to have him stay there with Philip in a cell. And Philip wants to do it with him ASAP.
Well, considering that they've been apart for a while.
So he's like the lady in Ace Ventura who just like gets on her knees and starts going to town. He does the same thing.
Whoa.
He does the same thing with him. They're laying together and talking at night, and they hear a loud screech from another cell. And Steven's like, what the hell is that? And he's like, oh, that's the screecher next door. Like, I can never get any sleep with that guy. And he's like, like you hear that in the middle of the night. It's almost like his most annoying sound in the world from Dumb and Dumber 2. Yeah. But the guy does it. He has like special needs, so that's why he does that.
Yeah, right? Well, that explains it.
Yeah. So...
But in Dumb and Dumber, Harry and Lloyd were purposely making noise for mental.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Another great film. So we cut to some guy beating the shit out of that screecher guy during lunch. And Philip sees this and he's like, what does he care? And some other guy is like, well, somebody must have paid him off. Something like that. So he storms into the cell and he straight up asks Philip, like, did you pay to have him beat up? And then he's like, you said you hated that guy. He's like, answer the question. Did you pay to have him beat up?
Yeah, but he's like, tell me the truth.
So he stands up and he admits it. He's like, yes. And he says, Steven, he's like, all serious. Steven, it's like, that is the most romantic thing anyone has ever done for me. And then they like hug and kiss right there. It kind of reminds you of Dumb and Dumber.
Again.
You know which part?
Which part?
Just when I thought that you couldn't get any dumber, you go ahead and do something like this.
And totally to redeem yourself. Yeah.
Reminds me of that. I almost feel like Jim probably was like, oh, do this. This would be funny.
Well, did he actually produce it? I don't think I ever really looked.
I don't know if he did. I mean, but he is like, any movie he does, he is like the captain of the team. Like, he has a lot of say in the movies that he does.
Okay. So that's why the movie has some correlations.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. I think so. Because he can't escape his style. He's always going to have his own style, whatever movie he does.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I love that. And it's nighttime, and Philip asked asks Cleavon to play his tape that he has. And he says, "Oh, okay, like give me $10." And he's like, "Okay, but play the whole song." And he's like, "Fuck you, my word is my bond." That's what he says. And so he plays the tape, and it's like, it's Chances Are, Johnny Mathis.
Mm-hmm.
Which I love that song.
No, it's a great song.
Yeah, so chances of the silly grin. And then he's like, "Come on, dance with me." And Steven's like, "I don't want to dance, baby." That's what he tells him. But he's like, "Come on, I want to dance." So then he gets up and he starts dancing with him to the song Slow Dancing. And that's the sign of a real couple. You know, you do shit for the other person, even if you don't want to do it yourself. You just do it because the other person wants to do it. That you can see that they are a real couple from that, similar to Happy Together. You don't get into arguments that bad if you don't give a shit about that person, right? So
yeah, I guess you could say that. It depends on the context too, and it depends how intense they can get or how extreme it gets, really.
Yeah, well, they say that conflict is better than nothing, because if you're actually conflicting, it shows that you're trying to do something about it. Mm-hmm. You're trying to work things out.
Well, yeah.
So we cut to them watching a movie with other inmates, and they get lunch, and they get a good lunch. We see them with steak and shrimp. Other guys are getting slop.
Yeah, they're just, they just get some.
Roll, and then these guys get fucking, steak, lobster on their plates.
That's not how they're supposed to be fed in prisons.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's not what people usually expect there.
Right.
But they really thought their way through it.
Yeah. And that's like a little montage. So we cut back to them still dancing to Chances Are. And the guard tells them, "Turn off the music." And they keep dancing. And the guard's like, "Turn off the music." And the Cleavon's like, "Fuck you." And the cops come in and beat his ass. Like, you can hear him getting beat. You can hear his bones, like, crunching from the batons.
Yeah,
basically.
Over that? Yeah. That's horrible.
Yeah, he's a ride or die guy. He's a pretty good actor, though. I'm telling you. He's really good. And one day, the guards come in and they tell Steven that he's being transferred somewhere else. And they pull him out.
Well, they're transferring him to another person.
Yeah. Philip is out, I guess, in the yard at that time. And he can see Steven getting carried out by the guards. And he's like, "Well, what the hell's going on?" And then we kick into this cover of To Love Somebody, Bee Gees, but this is a Nina Simone cover.
Which is also, it's a really good cover.
It's so good. I mean, this is one of the greatest songs of all time. I mean, Barry Gibb was a real genius. That was one of their early songs. That wasn't the 70s, disco era. This is an early song, and it's a masterpiece. You could just hear the strings coming in, and Philip runs out. He runs out of the prison, basically, which I don't even know if he's allowed to do that, but he runs out to see Steven leave on the bus. And this kind of reminds me of like the last scene of Bottle Rocket, the Wes Anderson's first movie, just seeing him in prison and as they kind of walk away in slow motion. But yeah, I love that. And he runs.
Well, I don't think he literally ran out of the prison, but he did run to as far as he could get to be able to say bye to him.
Yeah. Yeah, he runs through the yard, and that's something he would never do. As a person. That's something Philip would never do, because he never goes to the yard, as I told him earlier. Mm-hmm. And the camera work is really good, and Steven looks up, and he's happy to see him, and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he's like, "I love you." He tells him, and I just love that. Mm-hmm. "Baby, you don't know what it's like to love somebody. To love somebody."
Yeah, we get literal. We get literal here. Okay, let's keep going.
And he promises that they'll meet again. And Steven says, "I love you, Phillip Morris," as the bus drives away. So when Steven gets out of that prison that he gets taken to, this taxi guy picks him up, and he says he wants him to take him to the nearest vintage clothing store. And he asks, "Do you mind if I talk to you about our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ?" And he's like, "Sure." And he just does like a roundabout, basically, and then he comes right back. He comes right back to that prison, and Steven pretends to be a lawyer. He pretends his name is Steven Russo. And
Russo.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's trying to come off as some Italian guy or something.
Yeah, I guess so. And he gets off the phone, and he's working at Vaughn's or Ralph's.
You can tell that it's one of these big supermarkets.
Right, and he's working in the bakery area, and he's on the phone while he's working there. And he hangs up, and there's a lady in line, and he's like, "Oh, my boyfriend's about to get out of the prison." And she doesn't have the look on her face. She doesn't really like that. She's like, "Oh, thanks for sharing."
Yeah.
And then he looks at this bread sticking out, and it's like in his face, like it's like supposed to be like a penis type of thing. Like basically.
Once again.
Yeah. So when he sees that, he like pushes it out of the way. Like they made time for that. It's just kind of like, yeah, he does stuff like that a lot in his career, I've noticed. So he does get Philip out of the prison, and they celebrate. They find an apartment. They have a party, and Philip introduces him to her friend who needs a lawyer.
Yeah.
She's like, "Well, you're a lawyer. She needs help. Maybe you can help her." Okay.
Oh, yeah. So, this next part becomes it's interesting.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, he's like Gregory Peck in To Kill a Mockingbird. He's like, he's a legit lawyer. He meets her.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, he meets her.
I wouldn't call that legit.
Well, he's trying to look legit. He meets her at the courthouse. He's got the suit, the bow tie on, the glasses.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Liar, because he played a lawyer in Liar too, right?
But he was supposed to be a real lawyer.
Yeah, he was a real lawyer.
Yeah. That there's a difference.
But it's just funny seeing this over 10 years later. He's in another lawyer role, kind of. And he requests to meet. He's kind of striking out in the court. He's like not getting anywhere, so he's like, "Judge, like, Your Honor, can we meet in the chambers?" And the judge is like, "Yeah, okay, we can do that." And the other lawyer's like, "Geez, like, I don't know, this guy's treating this like an episode of Matlock. This should be like a cut and dry case." And he doesn't know what to say, Steven. So he's like, "I went to a small school in a small town," and he keeps going. And then the judge is like, "Where are you going with this?" he's like, "You have a point, but where are you going with this?" He tells him.
He's like, "I think it's pretty obvious where I'm going with this."
And there's just an awkward pause of like 30 seconds. Like they're just looking at each other.
Yeah. It's like you even hear crickets in the back.
Yeah. And and it's really good editing because we see him in different faces that he makes. It's pretty funny. And then all of a sudden the judge takes off his glasses and he looks at him, speaking dead in the face. And he's like, "Are you talking about Marshall versus Chow?" And
the other lawyer goes, "Oh, shit."
He's like, "Your Honor, that's exactly where I'm going with this." Yeah. And then we cut to, they win the case and they run out all happy.
Yeah, he comes jumping up and down.
Yeah. And the lady's hella happy. And then we cut to Steven showing the feeders.
Feeders are going off if you happen to hear them. Cat feeder.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mao is just running up to his feeder right now. He never says no to your food.
No, he loves to eat. Much like myself.
Yes.
He's his father's son, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, Steven shows Philip the new place they bought, and it's hella nice. It's like a nice loft. And they go on a vacation in Key West, and they're getting it on the boat.
Yeah, which we didn't need to see or know about.
And like he gets up, and we see him like spit out.
Ew! Sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
Just the thought of it is gross.
Yeah. And he says, Steven, on the voiceover, that he's going to go straight, no more lies. So he interviews for this job run by a former astronaut guy. And he interviews to be the CFO. And the astronaut CEO, he says, "Oh, you're head and shoulders above everyone else. All your references were stellar." And we cut to him like doing all the references. Like, which is funny because at work we're doing a lot of references right now. It's kind of.
I think a lot of places nowadays really do check their references. I don't think that was such a thing before.
No, it wasn't. From what I know, it wasn't. Yeah. I don't think anyone checked my references there.
Well, but that was already a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
When you look at it.
Right. So we see him doing his own references, and he gets the job, and this secretary shows him his new office. Mm-hmm. And he's like, she's like, anything, like, do you need anything? He's like, coffee? And she's like, I'll get that for you, but that's not my job. But I'll get that for you today. She tells him. And then we cut to, he has to give a presentation, and some other person did a nice presentation. They're like, okay, you're up. You better knock this out of the park.
Yeah.
And he seems nervous. They make it seem like he's really nervous. And then he gets up and like he knocks it out of the park. He's like, everyone's like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like these graphs are really nice and stuff. And they're playing this rock on the soundtrack, and it's like, wow, it's kicking ass. And then the other guy who just did his presentation, he's all jealous. He's like looking around. It's kind of an a-hole. And so he's kind of hoping to see Steven fall flat, but Steven really kills it. And so the boss really likes his presentation. And actually the song is Slow Ride, which they used in Dazed and Confused. A slow ride.
Yeah, they've used it in a lot of...
Yeah, it's kind of cliche.
Yeah.
So it was kind of lame that they used it, I guess. So his boss comes in and he asks him, he's like, you play golf, Russell? And Russell's like, yeah. And he says, okay, I'll kick your ass next week. That's what he tells him. And we cut to Philip around the house. He's carrying golf clubs. Oh, Philip sees Steven. Philip sees Steven carrying golf clubs, and he's like, golf? He's like, you can tell them you're gay. They can't fire you because of that. And then he's like, I just want to make a good impression.
Yeah, of course.
And Philip's like, golf? Might as well eat pussy. He tells him.
Yeah, see, this movie is just... Yeah. Takes it too far with that kind of... Yeah. Yeah, with the kind of sense of humor.
Right. It's edgy. Like, if you like raunchy comedy, this is good. You know, even though it's on the gay side. It fulfills that need for raunchy. This is like a more sophisticated American Pie, wouldn't you say? Like, as far as the type of comedy?
Yeah, to some degree.
Right. And he sucks ass at golf. He can't hit it out of the dirt, basically. And Philip is at home, and he's eating those Dove candies with the inspirational messages.
Oh yeah. So that's what he left them then.
Right. Yeah. But he's a diabetic, though. And so that's kind of dangerous for him to be eating that much. We see him eat like 5 in a row. He's like the only white diabetic guy I've seen. Have you seen any other?
Well, in real life, I know that there are quite a few of them. Honestly, I think maybe people of color are more at risk of developing these types of illnesses, but in reality, we see it everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So Steven is invited to a gala at his work, and so he's there, but he's alone. And they ask him if he's married, and he says he's engaged. And they're like, oh, like, where's the lucky lady? That's what they're telling him. And he's like, well, she works. So, like, he's still trying to hide that.
Yeah, of course.
So we cut to him showing up in the parking garage at work. And this guy, the guy he's like his lame coworker, that guy parks, and he thinks he has a nice car. He's like proud of his car as he parks, but then he sees Steven pull in, and it's even nicer. It's way nicer, and the guy's like in awe. He sees him in his car, like, oh my god, like his jaw is like on the floor seeing this car. And they're in the elevator, and the guy's like, nice car. Which one is that? Steven says, oh, the SL. He's like, you're driving the C? And he's like, yeah. He's like, good car. Good value. And the guy, like, looks over, like, the look on his face is priceless, because he's like, good value. Like, he's, like, offended that he would say that.
Yeah.
So, we cut to that guy, that lame coworker guy. He's reviewing invoices, basically, and he's checking out their books, and he notices something. We don't know what, but we can assume it's connected to Steven.
Yeah.
He sees it. And Philip is watering the plants at home with Steven, and he asks Steven if something's going on. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, if anything's going on, just stop it. He's like, I don't care about the money. All I want is you. And so, yeah, you can see that that's a real love story there. Mm-hmm. He doesn't care about the money. He just wants to be with him. So we cut to that lame coworker guy, and he's on the phone, and Steven passes by him, and he can suspect something is up. Mm-hmm. So Steven runs into his office. He looks around, and he sees a legal pad, and he kind of scratches this. He uses a pencil to kind of sketch over it, and he sees a number there. So then he calls Deb, and he just drives out. He goes on the road, and he's driving hell fast, and he calls Deb, and she's like, "Oh, are you on the lam again?" And he's like, "Yep," basically. And then he gets a call from his boss, and his boss is like, "Oh, hey, Steven, want to know where you're at?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm on the freeway." And he's like, "Oh, are you going to be coming in?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "I won't be coming in ever again." I think we both know why. Basically, that's what he says. And he goes home. And I like the shot of the car parking suddenly. And then you see his head coming out of the convertible through the front glass door. Like some houses have front doors that are see-through, which I wouldn't want that. I don't know. I personally don't like that. Do you like that? When they have those front glass doors, I find it kind of
If weird. They're not etched or tinted or in any way that it doesn't let anyone see from the outside what's going on the inside, right. I just wouldn't want it.
Yes, because I think someone's house down the way, they have a glass like that, where you can just see the whole thing. You can see down the hallway.
I really don't like it. I just feel that I can't have any privacy.
Right, yeah, I wouldn't like that. So he's coming out, and we cut to a flashback where Steven said he made his old boyfriend Jimmy a promise. And Jimmy is on his deathbed, and we assume he has AIDS, basically. Mm-hmm. And he tells Jimmy, he's crying, he tells him he needs him around and that he's the love of his life. And Jimmy says, "No, I'm not." He's like, "I've seen the love of your life. I've seen him, and you're going to be so happy." And he's like, and he tells him, "I know you don't think so, but you deserve to be happy." That's what Jimmy tells Steven. He's like, "But you have to promise me you're going to treat him right." That's what he says, so that's why Steven's here saying, I made Jimmy a promise. And yeah, I like Rodrigo Santoro. I haven't seen him in a long time. He was like kind of hot at the time. He was doing a lot of stuff, and I liked him. He was in 300. He played Xerxes in 300, and he was in a lot of stuff at that time. But I haven't seen him lately. I think he's probably on some show that I don't watch. He's probably like on some Apple Plus shit that I just don't watch. Like, I have a feeling. Like,
maybe
I'm sure he's still working.
Honestly, I haven't looked him up, so yeah. I wouldn't know. But it would be good to try to find out, right, actually, which I'll look him up right now.
So, and then Steven is getting taken into the police car, and he injects something into himself in the backseat of the car. They cuffed him with his hands in front, like not behind him. Mm-hmm. So he was able to like take out a syringe, and he shoots himself all over multiple times before the cops even notice. And I like this country song that's playing during this montage. And the cops kind of smell something, so they turn around and go, "What the hell's going on?" And they see him like convulsing in the backseat, and he's foaming at the mouth.
It's as if he had rabies or something.
Right, exactly. So then next thing you know, Steven wakes up in the hospital. And right when he wakes up, he just takes out all his IVs. He pulls out all his IVs, and he tries to walk out, but then he stops, and he notices we see his foot is chained to the bed.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, "Fuck." And then another cop is like, "He's up." He comes out and he sees him because they knew that he's a flight risk.
Yeah, of course.
So
he already escaped.
Yeah. So
not just that, but he kept committing crimes.
Right. Yeah. And so in this whole sequence, Steven keeps trying to escape. He escapes again and again. He tries again, and they send him to a lockup, and they set his bail at $900,000. That's pretty damn high. Well, especially for that time.
Yeah. I think because he was considered high risk. Right. They had to set the bail that way.
Right, yeah. And he's had multiple escapes. Then so there's this montage of him doing research. He's reading stuff. He's passing out notes. We see like another montage of like the inmates passing out notes. And so he fakes a bail adjustment. Like, that was so high that he was able to make calls and do all this shit that he adjusts his bail to make it lower. Mm-hmm. So he makes a bail adjustment, and he's gone. He's out of the prison, but then he gets caught again. And he tries calling Philip from the prison, but Philip won't answer. And he asks some guy to hit him in the face, like some other inmate. He's like, "Hey, hit me in the face." And the guy's like, "Okay." And so we cut to him being treated at the hospital. They're like working on his nose. He's like, "Wow." He's like, "Yeah, your nose is really good." And he's like, "Yep." And while the doctor's working on him, he takes the doctor's badge, like while it's pinned to him. He just like, yoink, he just grabs it. He takes the badge and he puts it in his pocket. We see he's in his cell, and he's like fucking around in his cell, and the other inmates across the way are looking in like, what the hell is he doing? So he takes a white uniform, and we see him like dyeing it in the toilet. He's like dyeing it green, dyeing it that light green, you know?
Yeah, dyeing it to look like a nurse's scrub.
Yeah, look like scrubs. Yeah, exactly. So he's dyeing that, and it's funny how the inmates are just like, what the fuck is he doing? They're like leaning in and looking in like, what is he doing? And so he manages.
So he took some of that red dye.
Right. Yeah. And then we see him in that scrub, and he's walking out of the prison, impersonating the doctor, and he shows that laminate, you know, he shows that badge, and they're like, they just let him out. So he gets out again, and they let him out. And then cops catch him again in Texas, because they catch him at a motel or something like that. And all these cops, I assume it's Texas, because they all have cowboy hats, and they're all like arresting his ass.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. So he goes back to prison, and we see him passing out sandwiches. And while he's passing out sandwiches, he notices that they let a guy out who has a walkie-talkie. There's a guy he bangs on the front desk, and he shows the walkie-talkie, and they let him out. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, and I have another idea. So he has some other inmate. He gets him. He gives him a paper bag. He gives him a paper bag, and he looks in it, and he's like, really? And he's like, this is all I can find. That's what he says. So, and then he steals, when he's passing out sandwiches, he takes a walkie-talkie that's sitting on some lady's desk, and she doesn't even realize it. So he takes it, and then we see him dressed in this hooker, like this gay prostitution outfit, basically, is what he's wearing. He's wearing like short shorts and like fishnet stockings and this like weird shirt. And he walks out, and because he has a radio, he bangs it, and they just let him out. And and then the cop, the guard there, he's like fucking Vice, because he thinks he's a Vice worker, so they work undercover a lot. So that's what he thought. So that's why he just let him out, because he's like, oh yeah, like no inmate is gonna have that outfit. So
of course not.
Yeah. And so he walks right out, and he pulls up in a limo to Philip's house. And he's playing Steal Away by Robbie Dupree. I love that song. It's like a yacht rock ripoff. Oh, yeah. Because he wasn't really from the LA scene. He was from another scene, but has that same type of sound. Totally sounds fucking Doobie Brothers, Michael McDonald shit. And Philip, he knocks on the door, and Philip says he doesn't want to see him. And he's like, come on, let me in. And he's like, no. He's like, you put my name on the account, so I might go back to prison. He's like, I might be doing a hard time thanks to you. And Steven's kind of disappointed. And he's like, what do I do? He's like, I got a limo. What do you want me to do? And Philip's like, you're the lawyer. You figure it out. And then it's all quiet. And then Philip's like, oh my God, you're not a lawyer, are you? And then he's like, you're not even a fucking lawyer. And he's like, and Steven's like, oh. Okay. And then Philip opens the door, and Steven is about to say something. He was like, he looks like he's trying to ask for forgiveness or something, and he's right about to say something when we hear sirens out of nowhere and cops drag him away. They pull him back away.
But it's really interesting how easily they found him too.
Yeah. I mean, if he goes to, his partner's spot, they'll probably be the first place.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they would suspect that he would eventually go there.
Right. So Steven and Philip are at the police station, and Philip says, from the moment we met, all you've done is lie. He's pissed. He basically tells Steven to F off, and he tells him he'll never forgive him. And he walks out, and Steven says, that was the last time I ever saw him. That's what he says. And on the voiceover, he says he's right. So they're all right. I'm just full of lies. Maybe I was fucked up from the start. That's why my mom gave me up. That's what he says. And we see him getting sick all of a sudden. He gets sick. He gets really skinny. He starts throwing up a lot. And there's a shot of him on the bed. He looks like a skeleton. It's crazy. I don't know if that was someone else's body or what, but how they framed it, it looked like his body. And it was just like, he was so super skinny.
Well, he just looked like a mummy.
Yeah.
If that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that's what he looked like. And the doctor checks him out. There's a doctor who's looking at him. He's like, I'm sorry to inform you, you have AIDS. That's what he tells him. And Steven looks up at him, and it's funny because there's a quick shot of the clouds that they insert there. It's a nice little edit. I love that.
Yeah.
So we see him back at the hospital bed that he was at the beginning. When you saw him dying at the beginning of the movie, we cut back to that.
So, yeah, it goes back to that.
Yeah, and then we see Philip in his prison cell, and another inmate is trying to tell him about Stephen. Like, it's quiet, so we don't really see what's going on. Like, we can't tell, but we assume that's what's going on. So
yeah.
Philip goes to the infirmary, and he says he wants to see Stephen. And they tell him he got moved to another hospital, another care center. The doctor there is like, oh, it's just a matter of time. He's like, he went into a coma for a few days. Like, he came out of it, but it's just a matter of time. He doesn't have much time left. That's what he tells him. And Philip's sad to see that. And we see clouds again, and the more clouds cut in. And Stephen lies in the hospital bed, and he looks over and he sees kids playing outside. And a nurse comes in and tells him, oh, there's a guy on the phone who's been calling like hell. Like, he wants to talk to you. And so he's like, okay. And so they bring him the phone, and Philip is there, and he's like, oh, it's like, why didn't you tell me? And Stephen's like, oh, I didn't want you to find out.
Mm-hmm.
And Philip tells him, like, oh, I'm still mad at you, but I love you. He says, I guess we're just fools for love, like some kind of star-crossed love shit, like Romeo and Juliet. And he tells him he will always be his forever, and he cries, and they both kind of cry on the phone. And it's good acting by McGregor. It's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen flashbacks to his adopted mother calling him back into the house, like when they were looking at clouds. He has a nice little memory of his mom, his adopted mom, calling him, and my kids, I'll come back in, I'll come back for dinner. So he has that little memory. And the inmate goes back to Philip. Again, that same inmate who told him earlier, and we don't hear anything again because it's all quiet. But then we see Philip start to break down. We see Philip start crying in the cell, and he's sad. After that, a guard comes by and tells Philip, oh, come with me. So Philip goes with him, and he's like, and he doesn't tell him why. He just walks with him. So he walks to this other area with him, and he's like, oh, your lawyer's here to see you. And he turns around, and it's Steve in a suit. And he's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both like looking at each other. Philip is looking like he's seen a ghost, basically.
Yeah. At this point, does it surprise you that Stephen would pull this kind of shit?
No, not at all. So Philip sees him and walks close to him, and he just slaps the shit out of him. He slaps him and just freezes him. We cut to Stephen is on the hospital bed again, and he starts to flatline. So this is really from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, it takes you back to that.
Yeah. This wasn't from the AIDS time. This is from the beginning of the movie. Now he's flatlining on the hospital bed, and he's like, you don't know how hard it is to fake your death from AIDS. He's like, first you have to starve yourself. Then you have to fake throwing up. It's like the hardest part is falsifying your records. It's like, but in prison, you're able to make anything happen. That's it, for the right price. And he says, after that, bureaucracy takes over. And he says, but bureaucracy can only do so much. The hardest part is being transferred to a private care facility. The only way to do that is to convince them you're about to die. Mm-hmm. So that's what he does. So he took some pills, and that's what put him in a coma, and that's what convinced him. They're like, oh shit, he is about to die, because he's in a coma. So that's how he got shipped to that private care facility.
Yeah, but you would also think that the medical team would be smarter and really run more tests to see if that's what he really has.
Well, speaking of which, so then he says, oh, can you believe in all the hospitals, everywhere I got transferred to, everywhere I stayed? He's like, none of them ever gave me an AIDS test. That's what he says. He's like, fucking Texas.
But that just shows you how ignorant right-wingers can tend to be. If that's really what most of this staff was, that's just an assumption.
Right. So we cut back to Stephen with Philip, and Stephen tells Philip he had to do all this to see him again. And Stephen tells him, like, I just came here to say one thing. You don't have to take me back. Underneath all those lies, there was always something real. I know who I am. I'm not a lawyer, CFO. All those Stephen Russells are dead. All that's left is the man who loves you. So he says that, and Philip says, "How do I know you're not bullshitting me again?"
He responds with, "You don't."
Yeah, and they just stare at each other, and then they both start to cry. We cut to Steven is at a courthouse, and he goes to pee, and at the urinal where he's at, another guy comes up, and he sees it's his old coworker, the lame coworker guy, who's there doing jury duty.
Oh.
And he's like, "Oh shit, like I know this guy," and they're both peeing right next to each other, and it says on the screen, it says, "On April 5th, 1998, Stephen Russell was arrested trying to secure Phillip's release." So that's what happens, and then it also says, "An embarrassment to Texas and George W. Bush, he was given an unprecedented sentence." And he while he's in the courtroom, he looks up at the ceiling in the courtroom, and it's clouds like painted on the ceiling. So it cuts back to his youth looking at the clouds. And it says Phillip Morris was released in 2006. Stephen is in 23-hour-a-day lockdown with 1 hour per day for supervised shower and exercise.
Oh yeah, he has absolutely no alone time or privacy.
And then we see Stephen in his cell, and he's alone, and he thinks of Phillip, them together. He sees like Phillip almost like he's on a swing with the light really, really bleached behind him, really washed out, and he thinks that's like his happy memory. It almost reminds me of the ending of Ichi the Killer in a way, like how we see Kakihara in his cell by himself. It reminds me of that in the dungeon. He's like all tied up and beat up. And then he's thinking of that, and then all of a sudden we hear prison sirens go off. It's like, and we see the outside of the prison, and we see Steven running by, and he runs through, and he passes the camera, and then all these cops are chasing him, and the camera pans to the clouds, where we see the cloud in the shape of a penis.
Oh, once again.
Yeah. And when he runs out, it reminds me of Ace Ventura, actually. When he pretends to be this crazy person at this asylum.
Yeah.
And how he runs his body movement. I guess it's just a Carreyism,
Yeah.
You can't escape his style,
No, of course.
Whatever movie he does, will always be Jim Carrey at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was Phillip Morris. I mean, I think it's a great film. And then...
Yeah, and you'll hear that tune throughout the movie, which was actually, you said it was done by Devotchka, right?
Yeah, Devotchka. For some reason, at that time, they were hot. They had a good movie streak because they started with Little Miss Sunshine.
That's true.
They did that, and then I know they did some other movies, but then they did this. And then I think that was the end of Devotchka in movies. After that, I don't know if we saw it anymore.
And they had a pretty good fan following at the time.
Yeah, no, they did. I don't know. They kind of fell out. I don't know where they're at now.
Yeah, honestly. I haven't heard from them in a long time.
So, where does this rank in your Jim Carrey movies? Near the top, right?
Sort of. Even though for me, definitely one of his top is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which we are planning to talk about sometime.
Yeah, and they even put that in the New York Times 100 best movies of the 21st century, which is pretty high. It's like number 8 or 7 or something.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I do think this is among his best.
Yeah, for sure. Shows more range too.
Yeah.
Even though we know he's funny, we know he can do drama too, but the fact that he does both in this really well, I think it's great. It's one of his best.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I love you, Phillip Morris.
That is so weird. And there is something that I do want to know when Kevin was saying that at the end of the movie, when they show the end notes, it showed that the last place where he was locked up was at the Alan B. Polanski unit, and he was there on a 23-hour lockup, only having 1 free hour a day to shower and exercise. That it was supervised, by the way. And actually, no, I'm reading this off of Wikipedia, and it says he was previously held in the Mark W. Michael unit and the W. J. Estelle unit. It says his maximum sentence date was March 13th, 2113. Yes, that's a very long time. He would definitely not be alive by then. but they just gave him a very long
Right.
sentence. And he became eligible for parole on December 15, 2020. On February 7, 2023, Russell was granted parole. His release date was July 11, 2024. So he has been out of prison for almost a year.
Damn.
He got really lucky.
Someone needs to interview his ass ASAP, if they haven't already.
Well, I know that they had interviews with him while he was in prison.
Yeah, but now that he's out.
Yeah, I was not aware until now that he actually did get out last
Yeah, I
year.
didn't realize that either. Holy
But
God.
I thought that they weren't going to let him out ever because he escaped prison multiple times.
Yeah, I thought if you try once or twice, you're like life in prison.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Wait, did we actually previously mention that this was based on a true story?
I don't think we did.
No, so yeah.
Yeah.
If you were confused at first as to why I'm looking this up on Wikipedia, so yes, this was based on a true story. So Stephen Russell really does exist.
Phillip Morris does exist.
Yeah, somewhere. Who knows what happened with him?
It's funny because when I tell people, I'm like, "Oh, have you seen I Love You Phillip Morris?" And a lot of times people are like, "Oh, is that smoking movie with Aaron Eckhart?"
How do you confuse that with Thank You for Smoking?
I don't know, because Phillip Morris that was the name of the tobacco company guy or whatever. So that's why. Even when I first heard the title of it back when it was going to be released, I was like, "This is like a sequel of Thank You for Smoking" or some shit.
Oh my God.
They should do Thank You Phillip Morris.
No, that just sounds absurd. Absolutely. Okay. But actually, speaking of Thank You for Smoking, at the time I watched it, I liked it, but when I look back, I haven't seen it in a long time, but now when I look back, I'm like, I don't know if it was really that great of a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really get that into it at the time. Yeah. I mean, maybe if I watch it again, I'll have a different take on it.
Maybe I need to rewatch it. And also, maybe I was left with a bad taste in my mouth after, because it's actually done by the same director as Juno.
Jason Reitman.
Yes, yeah. Jason Reitman.
Yeah. Any last words on Phillip Morris?
Just live with what you have. Don't try to spend more money than you really do.
Yeah.
Just don't do anything.
I'd rather be broke than in prison.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Even though right now a lot of people are struggling to even make ends meet, and that's just the unfortunate situation with our stupid country.
Yeah.
But I just feel that if you have everything to have a good living, you don't need riches.
Yeah.
And that goes including for billionaires.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you, Aileen, for joining me.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin, for having me once again.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
All
we'll
right.
see you next time.
All right. See ya.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.